You pass me the hot dog, please? That's my hot dog. Could you pass it to me, please? Excuse me. Excuse me. Could you pass me that hot dog, please? Excuse me.
On the air everywhere, this is New England Broadcasting.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
I've been to a few professional ball games in my life. Each one of them is boring as hell, and the only thing to do is to eat and drink beer. And I always have to have a hot dog. But they have the hot dog vendors in the stands there where you're sitting, and they don't walk over to you in the middle of the row. They pass the food down from the aisle. Well, let me tell you something. No one's touching my hot dog. Can you imagine passing a hot dog through 10 people before it got to your mouth? That's why I don't go to ball games. Problem with people. They touch things. I was very happy when I learned that when you go to fast food places and certain restaurants that the employees wear these little plastic gloves, these disposable plastic gloves, and every time they touch money or the cash register, they take the gloves off, and then when they're touching food, they put the gloves on. Seems like a lot of trouble. I would go through like 20 packs of gloves in one day, and I'm not even in the food industry. You ever go to the bathroom in a public place like a restaurant? And it's really nice because you don't have to touch the toilet anymore to flush it. It flushes automatically as soon as you get up from the toilet seat or away from the urinal. You simply pass your hands over the sink and the water comes on. You simply wave your hands underneath the towel dispenser sensor and a towel comes shooting out. I mean, you literally don't have to touch anything. That's nice. But then, when you leave the bathroom, the restroom, you have to touch the door handle. They haven't figured that out yet. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to the program. It's the Ron Van Dam Show. Thank you so much for being here. You're really very accepting of things that are not acceptable, and you're a wonderful person, and thank you very much. Well, how are you doing? I know what you're going to say. Me either. I know the Mueller Report came out, but we have no idea what's in it other than what the Attorney General, William Barr, has told us in a 4-page memo, a summary, a synopsis, and he hands this out. The whole thing will be released, I guarantee you, and in it, you will find that there's a lot of stuff in there. I guess, according to Attorney General William Barr, and he's the only one that's seen this report in full, he said there was no collusion between Trump, the Trump administration, the Trump people, the Trump campaign, and Russia. I'm sure the report will say Russia did contact Trump people, but the Trump people did not do anything wrong. I think that's what it's going to say. there was contact, it's going to say, I believe, between Russia and the Trump people, there was contact. Whether it was a crime and misdemeanor for Trump, probably not. Let's not forget that other people were indicted for their connection, but they were also more indicted for lying about it than they were for the connections themselves. I think that's what it's going to be about. Bill Clinton, back in the Clinton thing with the Starr report, Bill Clinton was not impeached or indicted or anything like that because he was having sexual intercourse of a oral nature. That's not why he was reprimanded. He was reprimanded because he lied about it. That's what that's about. However, obstruction of justice, I think that's going to flow like a waterfall. I think when the report comes out, because William Barr didn't really talk much about that or anything about that, when that comes out, you're going to find that your president, I believe, obstructs justice all over the damn justice place. He's like obstructing left and right. Yeah. Can you indict a sitting president? I don't know. Let's get him to stand up. I really don't know. It hasn't been released. And let me tell you, if the Attorney General, William Barr, does not release it, they'll get the information anyway. They will subpoena that thing in the House. They'll subpoena Bob Mueller to appear and to explain the whole damn thing. And I guarantee you, Trump might be a little cocky right now as far as collusion is concerned, but that cockiness is going to go down to no cock at all because they're going to find he's still a reputable scumbag. But anyway, that's just my opinion. You got to understand, let's go back to the Clinton years. Some of you were alive. There was the Starr report, which was investigating Bill Clinton. And what if that report went directly to Janet Reno, who was the Attorney General, and she said, nah, everything's fine? Do you think the Republicans would sit there and go, oh, okay, okay? No, they would demand every little word that was in that Starr report. They didn't have to do that because when the Starr report came out back in the Clinton years, that was entirely made public almost immediately. Without question, without debate, without request, it was made public. You got to expect the very least on this thing too. But for some reason, this goes through a different protocol, which is not really the way it should be. Look, I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer. Our taxes paid for this report. No matter what it says, no matter what it does, we paid for it. I want to see it. I paid for it. I don't pay for things that I don't get. Let's have it. I mean, it's an insult for the taxpayer not to know what's in that report. We'll be the judges to what happens at that point. All right, that's all I'm going to say as far as that's concerned, because that'll come out. That'll come out in the wash probably within a week or two at the very, very most. All right, thank you for letting me talk about that. You're wonderful people.
Okay, Ron Van Dam may not be the prettiest face in radio.
What?
But come on.
What?
That voice?
Yeah.
Am I right?
I know.
You are listening to Ron Van Dam, the sexiest voice in podcasting on New England Broadcasting.
I was in the supermarket yesterday. I go to the supermarket every day because the supermarket is my Disney World. I enjoy the rides in the supermarket Disney World. I enjoy the pushing of the cart. To me, that's a ride. Anyway, I'm in the supermarket and I have to pick up a gallon of milk because you got to drink milk if you're a milk person. And I see a carton of something that I see all the time, but I never really thought about it. It's a carton of almond milk. And I like almonds. Almonds are good for you. But I was trying to figure out in my tiny little brain, how can you have almond milk? I mean, wait a minute now. What are you doing? That's like rock juice. I mean, it's the juice of a rock. How's that possible? How do you squeeze milk out of an almond? I did not know almonds had milk. I didn't know. Are there little tits on it? I don't think there are. I've looked at almonds before. I've eaten almonds. There's no tits on them. I don't know where the milk comes from. I tried once because I was making a dish with green beans and butter sauce, and I was going to put almonds in it. And I remember crushing the almonds. They were completely dry. There was no milk. There's no wetness in an almond. No matter what you do to it, you can't get milk out of a stone or an almond. So I see an entire carton of almond milk. Let me tell you something. Even if you could get milk out of an almond, which I don't believe you can do, how much milk would come out of that little thing? Well, how many almonds would it take to get an entire half gallon of almond milk for $4? It's virtually impossible. It's impossible. This bothered me throughout my trip in the supermarket. I kept being drawn back to the almond milk thing. What does one do when they don't understand something? They Google it. It saves me a trip to the library. Can you believe that there was a point in time when to answer any question that a lot of people didn't know the answer to, you'd have to get on a bus or something and go down to the public library where all the vagrants are hanging out outside. Go into the library, talk to people with glasses who are talking above you and say, like, I need information on almond milk. Okay, that would be a Dewey Decimal System 23 point. Shut up and tell me with the answer. I would never know to this day what almond milk is, but I did go to the Google machine and I typed in almond milk, and it answered the question for me. There's no such thing. There is almond milk, but it's not almond milk. It's not the milk of the almond. Apparently, various liquids are added to the almond mixture. It's almond-flavored water stuff. I don't think it's pure water. I don't know what chemicals they throw into it. I don't know if they put a little milk in it, a little lactose-free milk. I have no way. I don't know. I didn't Google that far. There's a point to where I Google. I do surface Googling. Yeah, I don't dig deep because come on, seriously. I don't have time for that. And I don't even believe what I read online half the time anyway. So somehow they fill up that container of almond milk. I've tried almond milk before. It's an interesting taste, and I always feel I'm going to get into it, and I never do, because I realize I'm drinking almond-flavored water, basically, that's been thickened. I mean, it's not really. I feel like I'm being lied to. I don't like to be lied to. Don't call it almond milk. Call it almond-flavored liquid. Because that's what it is. But who's going to buy a gallon of that? This is wonderful. What is it? It's an almond-flavored liquid something. Ooh, great marketing idea. No, they call it milk, but it's not. Don't be fooled by things. No, don't. I've talked about this before. In the supermarket, they have imitation crab meat. I didn't know that there was imitation crab meat. I didn't know that you could imitate a crab. I mean, you can walk like it a little bit. That might be funny looking. But apparently there's a food that imitates a crab. It's an imitation of a crab. It's fairly tasty, but it ain't crab. Maybe there's a little crab in it. It's like crab milk, which I think is possible. I'm not sure. I've never turned a crab over to look for its tits. I don't know. Can you believe you're listening to this? I can't even believe I'm saying it, much less you listening to it. Anyway, we move on. There are higher mountains to climb. It is becoming mountain climbing season. I know. I'm not into hiking at all. I've hiked before, but I've never hiked because I wanted to. I never woke up in the morning and said, this is a good day for a hike. It's never happened. And I've been around for a lot of days in this lifetime. I never woke up saying, I want to go on a hike. No, never. I've named various food groups that I've wanted to ingest, but I never got excited about going out and hiking somewhere. And what is hiking? It's walking in kind of craggy ground situations with a backpack on. I don't know what you put in the backpack. Rope? I don't know. And you hike. I've had some friends who have said, Ron, let's go hiking. I've never laughed so much in my life. I respond that way. Ron, you want to go hiking? It's so funny. You are funny. No. I won't go hiking with you. When I was younger, there was this girl who was very, very attractive. She had a very attractive body on her. She sported an attractive body. She liked hiking. Therefore, so did I. But I didn't. But I said I did. And she did get up one morning and say, Ron, let's go hiking. And I thought to myself, I don't care. Yeah, with that body, hiking, this could be something. It could be a thing. So yeah, I was in great shape back then, and I was of hiking quality, actually. Even though mentally I didn't want to hike because I thought it was stupid, but I looked like I could hike. And that's half the battle. And she looked like she'd look good hiking. So we drove to this place in New Hampshire, and we got out of the car. That's about as much fun as I had on the hiking trip. And then we started hiking, and I made sure she walked in front of me because she had a very nice body, and that was the only reason I was going. But I got to tell you something. That wore off very quickly. I'd say within 12 seconds. I said to her, well, this has been fun. Let's go to a restaurant or go back. And she said, Ron, we've only been hiking for 2 minutes. I said, I thought that's all you wanted to do. I'm sorry. Does this go on longer? I don't understand the point of the hiking. You get out of the car, you walk around rocky areas with a backpack on. How long do we have to do this in order to call it actively hiking? I'm thinking 3 steps. And she says, Ron, you're so funny. You're so funny. You told me you like to hike. Well, I did lie. I don't like to hike. I just said that. So I had to put up with this hiking thing for what ended up being 2 hours of walking around on rocks. The relationship didn't last too long after that because Ron learned a lesson. There's more to a person than a good body walking around on rocks. And that was pretty much the end of that. I realized that not only did I not have hiking in common with her, I had nothing in common with her at all. So that ended that relationship rather quickly. I'm not into hiking, man. I don't understand what it's about. If there was something at the end, like a goal or something, I might do it. And I guess there is, because some people hike up mountains, and the goal is to get to the top of the mountain or the top of the hill, and then you have this wonderful scenic view. And I realized the scenic view is not enough of a reward for me. I'm thinking more like a $2,000 cash reward or something like that. Looking out at the top of a hill at pretty scenery didn't seem to be enough. Well, Ron, the exercise alone, isn't that enough? No, I'm out of breath. But Ron, what about the high that you get from hiking? That's not a high. That's shortness of breath. That's a respiratory problem. A lot of people confuse almost passing out with being high. It's almost passing out. It's not being high. It's not the same thing, believe me. And I know the difference between passing out and being high. You're talking passing out high, and that's not a high. People say that they get an exercise high. When they exercise a lot, they feel a certain high. No, you're about to pass out. You've pressed your body up against the wall to the point where you're about to die. You call that a high? We got different definitions of the word, I'm afraid. We're not seeing eye to eye on that one. My guest joins me momentarily, and that should be nice. But first, this show needs to be paid for by things, so we do have commercials. Are you having a party?
Do you throw boring parties? Do your guests stand about with tepid drinks in their hands, vapidly striving for anything interesting to say to anyone? Do they glance at their watches around 9 p.m. and say, "Oh, look at the time"? Your parties need something, and you know it. Your parties need me, Thompson St. Thomas, fancy bastard. For a gentlemanly, prearranged fee, I will arrive fashionably late to your party, bringing with me that dash of irresistible British charm and a soupçon of the joie de vivre of the French. Soon I'll have your guests regaled with stories of my vacation villa in Saint-Tropez, my zany youthful adventures in boys' school, and that one time I met the prince. Quite a story. For an extra fee, I could be the cheeky one, telling blue jokes and winking roguishly at all the girls. Got a piano? I've got a repertoire, because what English gent can't just sit down at the Ivories and knock out everything from a raucous pub tune to a bit of Gershwin? I know I can, because I'm Thompson St. Thomas, fancy bastard, and I'll see you at your next party. What time shall I arrive?
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Hey, Jennifer, how you doing today?
Fantastic.
Jennifer Jasinski joins us. She's James Beard Foundation Best Chef Southwest, Bravo's Top Chef Masters finalist, and a Denver restaurateur, as well as a cookbook author. She builds skyscrapers and does a lot of things, apparently. Hey, we're talking about we're talking about tech trends in the kitchen, which is kind of the last place that one would think you would find a tech trend.
I know it is, but there is so much stuff going on. So I love it. The technology is helping us cook better food faster and more consistently for customers, but also there's stuff that the home cook can do and really bring it home. So lots of great stuff out there, from immersion circulators to air fryers to pressure cookers.
Yeah.
And of course, Chuck Knows Beef is a really cool virtual assistant, a beef virtual assistant that you could have on your smart speaker or your smartphone at home too. So that's one of my faves.
Well, tell me about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, Chuck Knows Beef is like I said, a beef virtual assistant.
Yeah.
So it is AI, so it's artificial intelligence powered by Google, and you can ask it recipes.
Oh.
You can ask, nutritional information on beef. You can. It's also really cool because it learns. So when you use it at home and it gets used to what you like and what you ask for, it's going to start to tune itself to what you want and be better for you personally. I also like there's a thing on it where I can ask it for a recipe, and if I'm in the grocery store, it can send that shopping list to my phone.
Oh, my God.
And then I can have, I know, isn't that cool? Like what we can do nowadays.
Wow.
No.
So when you're cooking in the kitchen, by the way, I love to cook, and I think cooking in the kitchen is like one of the most relaxing, creative things you can do. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's my therapy.
Yeah.
Anyway, every once in a while, so I can stand there and I can talk to the Google machine and I can talk about beef and how many calories in this and give me a recipe for this and at what temperature should I be cooking the beef if I've got it cubed. I mean, it's kind of amazing. It's like having an expert in the kitchen with you.
It is. It is so cool. It's, people are on the go. People are busy. And when you have this little Chuck's Nose beef assistant, you can ask it, like you just said, anything. You can say, well, what temperature should I cook this to? Or I need a new recipe, and I feel like something with skirt steak.
Yeah.
And it'll give you recipes for skirt steak if you don't know.
Wow.
My husband comes home and he brings me all these things, and he's like, just make something out of this. So when you get stumped, you can ask Chuck Nose beef, and then you won't get stumped. You know what I mean? You can look like a superstar. So that's cool.
Now, is it Chuck Nose beef because there's Chuck meat? I mean, was that a thing?
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's a good cut of beef, but then there you go. And I love so one of the things I like is I like using. Everybody knows like a steak and a New York steak or things like that, but you can get offcuts. Not off isn't bad, but different cuts of meat that are like shoulder roasts and things like that. And a lot of people maybe don't know what to do with them. I like those cuts because the more the muscle is used, the more flavor it has.
True.
And then that way, it's really great to put in your pressure cooker at home. We've made this really cool pot roast with cider gravy. Yeah. So, I mean, you can do lots of great things with these cuts of meat. They're not as expensive. And they have tons of flavor. Yeah,
I mean, speaking of saving time, I fell in love with the crock pot again. I did when I was younger, and because you leave in the morning and you come home in the evening and you don't have to cook. It's just you open the door and it's like you're hit by this wonderful food odor, and it's wonderful. And the first thing I put in there is like almost any cut of meat will do. Mm-hmm. And that's like, wow, it doesn't have to be that great a cut of meat, and it still comes out beautiful.
I know. It is so convenient. I do love how things are cyclical, and they come back and forth in the kitchen. And my new thing is like pressure cookers, because I feel like I'm in a hurry for time, and I can do all those long cooking techniques and long cooking methods in a fraction of the time in my pressure cooker. That's one of my kind of favorite things. Chuck Nose Beef has some great pressure cooker recipes, too.
I was always scared they were going to blow up. But I guess they don't.
Well, I hope they don't.
Well, it'd be nice if they did. Now let's talk about the air fryer. I've been seeing commercials for that, and I guess you don't need oil, so it's like lower in cholesterol and lower in fats and stuff. Does that really work?
Yeah, you know what? It is, it's a cool technology. To be honest, it's really like a little mini convection oven almost, because the air circulates really fast, and you don't have to put, maybe you just put a teensiest bit of oil on that outside of that steak, and it kind of sears that in really nice to that convection technology. Yeah. And it's good for, especially if you send your kids off in a dorm room, they might be able to put that in the dorm room, and make something simple for themselves too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of cool things out there. I like the immersion circulators. They're really cool. Yeah. And, I like those for parties. Then I can have all my stuff done and just staying warm in my immersion circulator. Yeah. And then I can hang out with my guests and talk to them and have a glass of wine.
Cool. Let's talk about beef or seven or bottles. Okay. By the way, it also makes the cooking experience far more enjoyable.
It does. It makes me a nicer person sometimes.
It does. No, I always cook with a glass of wine, and I don't mean cooking with the wine. I mean drinking it while I'm cooking. It makes things so much more creative. Beef has become really lean, and I mean, some people like the fat on the beef, but if you don't, the lean cuts have become kind of more sophisticated.
Yeah, there is, with us using everything like we should. Right. Flank steak is a great cut that is, I think, leaner. Of course, to be honest, the tenderloin is extremely lean. Yes. And everybody loves the tenderloin. Yes. So you can have, and I do like on the Chuck Nose beef, you can ask how much protein is in beef. You can ask the calories for the certain portion you're doing. So if you're really concerned about the health aspects, it's a great resource to go to at chucknosebeef.com, to find out this information.
Great. chucknosbeef.com. That's where you go, and then get one of those little speaker talking things, and you can listen to music too between talking to Chuck, if that's his name.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And okay, so that's where we go for that. How do we follow the chef Jennifer there?
Well, I have 5 amazing restaurants in Denver. Wow. My little company is called Crafted Concepts. You can go to craftedconcepts.com and check out our restaurants in Denver.
Very cool. Hey, it's been fun speaking to you, and I know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
All right. Well, beef is what's for dinner. Let's do that.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye, Ron.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have been duly served. Thank you so much for your time today. You've been really wonderful about it. I'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new show. Until then, I wish you peace.